Hello, I'm Lauryn Schothorst, and I'm the Director of Education and Workforce Development Policy for the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. It's an honor to represent your company on the Capitol on these key business issues. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that employers in every community and in every industry report that finding and hiring workers has become one of the biggest barriers to doing business in Minnesota, with high taxes first. Unfortunately, Minnesota's demographics are shifting, and our state has been losing population to other states, with key segments of working age populations leaving the state or retiring, and this trend appears to be accelerating. Yet, our current unemployment rate stands at 2.1%, and our labor force participation ranks 6th in the country. At the same time, Minnesota remains one of the highest taxed and regulated states in the country. Without population and labor force growth, growing our state's economy is immensely challenging. The combination of these factors explains, in part, Minnesota's lagging economic growth and impacts its future economic outlook. Thus, the availability of talent will only increase as a critical element of economic competitiveness and will shape opportunities for Minnesota's next decade and beyond. And yet, the workforce needs of tomorrow are rapidly changing, while the workforce of today is being left behind. Minnesota's economic future requires a strategic focus on workforce from business leaders and policymakers immediately and into the future. But there is no simple solution to this problem. Workforce availability is driven by a number of other barriers that encompass demographics, education and training preparedness and misalignment, childcare availability, high tax burdens on individuals and employers, and other affordability challenges. By mitigating these barriers, the state and its partners can ensure no one is left on the economic sidelines. Policymakers will be tempted and have hinted at spending the state's surplus dollars to eliminate some of these barriers for individuals, in addition to increasing payroll taxes on employers to fund them long term. While increasing payroll taxes on employers is a non-starter, the key will be ensuring policymakers focus on strategic and results-oriented assistance, and not simply continuing to fund programs that sound good, but for which we do not have robust performance metrics. Another way to look at Minnesota's workforce challenge is that it is both immediate and long-term, requiring both short-term and longer-term strategies that are built fundamentally with strong alignment between education systems and workforce programs and the needs of employers in the state's economy. The system as a whole must closely track and adapt to changes in the labor market and workforce needs. A more nimble and responsive workforce system should have the ability to provide shorter-term pathways to certificates or degrees in areas of greatest demand and promote the longer-term development of core skills and competencies. One short-term approach we're advocating for is for the state and its partners to pilot a series of accelerated certification and training and reskilling initiatives for key industries or high-growth, high-demand areas of the economy. Think our transportation supply chain, manufacturing, and the tech-based sectors. The key is focusing on workforce shortage areas that have the capacity to constrain our economic growth. A growing economy benefits individual workers, but only if those workers have the skills to directly participate. Longer term, our members are really concerned about the achievement gap and racial disparities in the education system, in addition to the overall decline in student preparedness that predates the pandemic. This is demonstrated by the benchmarking on student progress on statewide tests in math and reading, despite what's already considered to be relatively high spending on education. Nonetheless, you've all probably heard that fully funding education is a top goal of Governor Walz and leaders in both the House and Senate. So next session will sure to be one of substantially increased education funding. Therefore, we will be looking for a clear focus on investments that directly improve grade level proficiency in key academic milestones such as literacy and math. Schools must prepare students for success by setting clear, rigorous standards and assessing outcomes. In recent years, employers and post-secondary institutions are also noting a downward trend in future readiness of our workforce. So we'd also like to see increased access to career pathways and exploration, experiential learning and hands-on training opportunities, work-based learning, and dual credit options for students. By ensuring these opportunities are within the K-12 public education system, students will, both practically and academically, develop the tools they need to succeed in the state's economy, either directly into the workforce or through better established pathways that connect with post-secondary opportunities located in our state. To support this, we'd like to work towards ensuring that every school is staffed with direct career-focused personnel, such as career counselors or navigators. And with an eye to the economy of the future, we'd also like an enhanced focus on building computer science directly into the K-12 system, as well as incorporating these skills through all academic subject areas. Minnesota is lagging nationally on this metric, and progress absolutely should and can be made if policymakers commit. As you talk with your local school boards, teachers' unions, school administrators, and media, please make sure to reiterate that increased funding alone is not the answer, and you will be specifically looking for investments in the areas I previously mentioned and results. Together, we can better identify common thresholds for career and college readiness and promote the longer-term development of core skills and competencies across systems and institutions. We think that enhancing employer partnerships will make for a better experience for students, teachers, administrators, and community building. As you can see, there is a lot of work ahead for the business community, not just in policymaking, but in building practical partnerships within our state agencies. If you haven't already, I encourage you to check out the Department of Education, Employment and Economic Development, Labor and Industry, and the Office of Higher Education. These entities oversee a number of education, workforce training, and workforce development programs that are available for you to tap into. If these programs aren't working for you, then the state isn't living up to its mission and needs to know what changes are necessary to ensure we're all rowing in the same direction. And we're always looking for direct feedback to share with our agency partners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your recommendations. Finally, it wouldn't be a good chamber workforce spotlight if I didn't mention our foundation's Center for Workforce Solutions. This is a Minnesota business-led initiative offering research and programs to confront the state's worker shortage and help the state's economy change and grow. You can also help your community partners establish a business education network, which connects businesses and local chambers with students, educators, and workforce training programs, so students are aware of career opportunities in their communities and the coursework and training required for those jobs. With our population trends and workforce shortage top of mind, this is sure to be a busy session for education and workforce policy. I hope that you'll follow along with our weekly At the Capitol reports and take some time to reach out to your local legislators about making sure our systems get back to being an envy of the nation. Thank you.